For whatever reason, former NFL star Randy Moss recently opened a fried chicken restaurant in Huntington, West Virginia. Now, sadly, it would seem the restaurant was not well received by the community. Customers left bad reviews online complaining, from what I can tell, I read some of the reviews, that the food is too bland, the prices are too high, the service is too slow, and strangely enough, the place doesn't seem to carry ketchup, according to a lot of the reviews. Now, as an avowed ketchup skeptic myself, I don't find this last point to be a problem, but the other points certainly are. And to sum it up in the words of one customer named Connor, who left a Google review, the chicken was nothing to ride home about. And yes, that is ride as in R-I-D-E. Connor is saying that he wouldn't ride all the way home on his bicycle to tell his family and friends about this chicken. Chicken's okay, it's not something to ride home about. Now, overall, the restaurant got at least 1, possibly 2 thumbs down from many of its patrons. So, how would the manager of this establishment respond to this criticism? Would he take the feedback to heart? Would he come up with a better chicken recipe? Would he work with his employees to improve their service? Would he lower prices? Would he start stocking ketchup? Would he ensure that it's the kind of place Connor would want to ride home about? No, of course not. Instead, he accused his customers of racism. Here's the local news report.
What was supposed to be a positive development in the heart of Huntington has turned into controversy after accusations of racism and discrimination went viral on social media.
We're talking about Crispy's Chicken. It's the restaurant owned by NFL Hall of Famer Randy Moss. But as 13 News reporter Jordan Meade tells us, the manager of the restaurant says the community isn't supporting the business, and he claims it has nothing to do with the food.
The original video.
Great energy, great food. Randy Moss took his time out, invested his money.
That sparked it all.
But since we've been here for the past few months, it has been nothing but negativity from the community not supporting.
That's the manager of Crispy's Chicken, a fast food restaurant in Huntington. In the video posted just last week, he lashes out at the community, saying their criticism goes beyond the food and service.
The entire community is filled with negativity. Being an African-American company, this is what we deal with on a regular basis. Unfortunate, we're not the other color, which is unfortunate to you guys, because if we were the other color, I'm sure it would be a lot more respect.
After the backlash from his post, the manager, who would only tell us his first name, called out a local host of a podcast to do an interview.
We tried to be positive and having a positive effect on the community, but it just wasn't having it.
But from that interview came more controversy.
What did our community do? They tore us down, like they always do. The African American community, we are known to tear each other down. The Chinese is not known for it. The Europeans, nobody else is known for it.
That's something that Talk Huntington host David Williams, who goes by the on-air name of Alligator Jackson, says he tried to de-escalate while addressing complaints. 13 News spoke to Kurt today. He doubled down on his statements.
Anybody that misunderstood what I said on that video, you have to think. It was clear as day what I said. It was clear. It was clear that that's what African Americans been going through for centuries.
Okay, I forgot to mention he's also the marketing director. It said on the, it said there that this is the marketing campaign. I mean, it's one way to market your product, to yell at your customers and tell them to stop being mean to you. Spring is here, which means spring cleaning, warmer weather, and the flowers and leaves starting to bloom. With all the changes happening outside right now, there's no better time than now to start shopping for life insurance with Policy Genius as part of your financial planning for the year. Getting life insurance today means that you'll have peace of mind so that if something were to happen to you, your family can cover expenses while getting back on their feet. Luckily, Policy Genius helps you compare your options from top companies, and their team of licensed experts is on hand to help talk you through it. Policy Genius has licensed, award-winning agents and technology that makes it easy to compare quotes from America's top insurers in just a few clicks to find your lowest price. Even if you already have a life insurance policy through work, it may not offer enough protection for your family's needs, and it may not follow you if you leave your job. With Policy Genius, you can find life insurance policies that start at just $292 per year for $1 million of coverage. Some options offer same-day approval and avoid unnecessary medical exams. Policy Genius works for you, not the insurance companies. That means they don't have the incentive to recommend one insurer over the other. Save time and money and provide your family with a financial safety net using Policy Genius. Head to policygenius.com/Walsh to get your free life insurance quotes and see how much you could save. That's policygenius.com/Walsh. Now, this is not even the end of the news report, but there's so much to cover that we had to stop it there. First, most importantly, there is a local podcast host in Huntington, West Virginia, who goes by the name Alligator Jackson. Now, that to me is the real headline here. The reporter breezes by it as if it's just a random bit of trivia, but I want to hear more about, Alligator Jackson's podcast. I did investigate the situation on my own. I found Alligator Jackson's YouTube channel. It's called Talk Huntington. It has 20 subscribers, 3 videos so far. It looks like it's just getting started, a real bootstrap operation. I encourage you to go and subscribe to the channel if you want to stay up to date on news out of Huntington, or even if you don't. And second, almost as important, what is going on with the crispy chicken mascot? Let's put that up on the screen again, because I just stared at this thing trying to figure out what's happening. It appears to be, from what I can tell, like a penguin in the shape of a bomb. It's a penguin with a fuse on it as the mascot for a fast food chicken place. And that's your problem right there. That's why you aren't getting the business you want. People look at that mascot, they're so confused that they just stand there staring at it until the place is closed. And to make matters worse, it doesn't even say chicken anywhere on the signage outside. All we see is the penguin bomb and the word crispy, spelled as weirdly as possible, by the way, and no mention of chicken. People are confused. That's the issue. And then they go inside, there's no ketchup. Now they're really befuddled. They can't ride home about it. I mean, they don't even know which way is home at this point. And third, finally, Kurt, the manager, says that he is the victim of racism. He says, of course, in fact, that this is what Black Americans have been going through for centuries. Specifically, they've been going through the trauma of people leaving negative Google reviews for centuries. Who can forget Frederick Douglass, Harriet Tubman, decrying the racist abuses of the Google review system? But let's really think about Kurt's theory of the case here. And I do not intend to engage in any form of stereotyping. I am the last person to ever say anything racially insensitive, as you all know. But with that said, are you really trying to tell us, Kurt, that customers are less likely to support a fried chicken place if it's run by a black guy? I mean, that seems a bit like a gay Broadway star claiming that the audience hates his latest production because they're homophobic. I mean, the simple act of purchasing a ticket to a Broadway show already demonstrates a certain tolerance of the gay community, I would think. And a similar logic applies to Kurt and his chicken restaurant. Still, the racism defense is reflexive for some people. I mean, why else would this man's restaurant get such a poor reception? Why else would anyone say anything bad about him or about anything associated with him, if not for racism? And I think the good thing about this story, aside from the fact that it introduced the world to Alligator Jackson, is that it so plainly reveals the deeper, more personal motivations for many of these race hustlers. For a guy like Kurt, shouting racism it's a rationalization. It's a coping mechanism. Now, to be clear, I don't say this to justify the erroneous racism claims, of course. I don't mean that you should view Kurt in a better light because of this. I just mean to point out that people these days cry racism constantly because blaming things on racism shields them from the harsher realities of life. It's their way of explaining their failures to the world, and more importantly, to themselves. It can be difficult to accept that you're suffering a setback as a result of your own poor performance. It's hard to face the fact that people are responding poorly to you because they disapprove of your behavior, or they don't like what you've done, or because they just don't like you personally. It's tough to listen to criticism of your work or your character. Nobody wants to believe that their lack of success in life is a result of their own inadequacies. Nobody wants to accept that they've come up short or failed to gain all the success they desire, or any of the success they desire, simply because they're not good enough. These are hard realities to face. It's much easier, mentally and emotionally, to tell yourself that it's all because of racism. And in that lies, for many people, the attraction to the racism narrative. Now, there are a lot of reasons why false racism claims are so common in our culture. The Kurts of the world have various motivations, some of them more political and ideological, but at the core of this issue is this: lots of people whose lives are not working out the way they want, telling themselves this story of their own martyrdom. And in Kurt's case, I'm a victim of a racist conspiracy is a fantasy that he prefers over the true story, which is that his restaurant sucks and nobody likes it. After all, it's better to be a martyr than to be mediocre. And that is why Kurt from Crispy Chicken is sadly today canceled. Thanks for checking out this video. If you'd like to listen to my full podcast on the go, you can check out The Matt Walsh Show on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you get your podcasts.